Alright guys, we're gonna continue talking about the Angular for the data. So yesterday we finished the basic setups of the Angular. We generate the application and talk about how the Angular is really working by having the only one page index HTML, and which contains app root, which is our app component. And within the app component, we have a lot of different small components switch around, including the user components, right? And the website components, and the page components, and the widget components. Those are different components. Like in the user components, we have login components, register components, profile components. So those are different components, and it's basically it has its own HTML file. It has its own CSS file and its own JavaScript file. We haven't used them yet, but we already know each HTML file contains the content, and we're going to have the TS file working shortly to rendering the dynamic content. And also the CSS, if you want to add some specific customized style for this component, you will be able to add it in that CSS file. So right now we are going to talk about our data. Right now we don't really have a server yet. I mean, in a real development environment, we are going to we are right now working on the client side, which is just pages showing on the screen on the local computer. And we're usually getting our data from other data center, some server from maybe you are trying to get in Facebook, you are getting data from the Facebook company. If you are trying to get it in the Google website, you're getting data from the Google company. So we're getting data from another server computer, but we are not including right now. So we're going to have our server just arrays, it's just stored in our client right now for test. Right now we're going to put our data in a folder called service folder, and we're going to put all our data inside here. We're going to have an array of users, which are just represented as our user data. Have an array of websites, which represents all the websites we have in our application. And same thing, an array of page, array of widgets, right? So, so we have our page rendering here. It's including the root component, which is going to be switched between those components. And each component is going to get the data from its own service file. This have a user service file. This one has a website service file. And this one has a page service file. And last one has a widget service file. Right, those are just some JavaScript files inside here. We just put an array inside here. And every time we need to get the user data, and we're going to call from the component to call it. Please checking, if I want to log in, I'm going to go to login component. And it's going to have a function inside here. When I click the login button, it's going to run that login function. It's going to ask, does the array have that user information? If there's going to function inside the user service, checking the array has one or not. If that returns true, it has, and it's gonna tell the components. Alright, we have the user data in there, and you can do whatever you want with it. And here is the data, and basically the login function is gonna navigate you to the profile page after you click the login function. Right, so things happen is right. So right now I'm at the login page. I click the login button. I call a function inside here called maybe a function is called login, and takes a user's input, the username and password inside there, and then this function gonna call another function in the service. Maybe it's called a checking user. It may give a true or false. Did I give a true? And in login we have if cases here. If that one gives me a true, I'm going to navigate you to profile page. If that one gives a false, I'm just gonna write alert to a user. Your user name and password not match. Please check it again. Things like that. Right? This is how the whole application is working. And now, our job is to create our arrays inside those service file and prepare those functions to either return true or false, something like that. All right. So let's start working on it.
Right, so if you just follow the assignment requirement, let's go to the next step. After the routing, it's going to be create client-side Angular services. Those Angular services just provide those central place to access and update the data. And every time, as I said, we have an array of data here. Like in the user service, we have an array of users data, and we have few functions associated with the array. If you want to register a new account, then you're going to call the create user function to adding the new item, adding a new user to the array. That makes sense, right? And if you're trying to check in a user's information, and you're going to call a find user by ID, I give you a user ID, you're going to looking for such user in the array, see if that one is available or not, is existing or not. And if I call find user by username, you're going to help me to check. Does is there any user have such user ID, have such username in the array? If yes, returns me maybe the user information. Else just give me a false. Same thing like find user by credential. We're checking both username and password. This is definitely for login. And if that one will have that one, we just returns the user. Otherwise, just return false. And also we have the updated user. And every time we're trying to update the user information, like maybe user trying to update their profile, and we're going to call this function to update our data in our array, right? And also we may have a deleted user. We don't have this function ready yet, but we're just going to create this. Actually, let's don't have this so far. We're going to add it in the future. Right now, we just worry about create, find user by username, by credential, and update. Right? Those are the current functions user have. And the same thing we're going to do for the website, for the page, and for the widgets. I prepared some the array for you to for test purpose, and also the functions we're going to need to create them. So let's see how we're going to do them one by one. All right. So let's opening the folder we have here is called WebMaker. WebMaker is right here. Let's put it here. Otherwise, I cannot find it again. It's here, WebMaker. Gonna right click, open with obviously the code. Start working on it. Give it a second. It's still loading. Alright, so I just want to make sure my file is still working, so I'm just going to do a ng serve here. And to host my website, host my application on my local host, so I can test, see if that's working. Give it a minute to host it. I'm doing something else. Just give it a second. It's just running. The computer is a little bit slow today. Yes, computer too old. Just give it some time. Right, it's kind of like stuck here. Let me try to close it and try it again. It's stuck here. I can. It doesn't allow me to close. Right, just give it a second. It's super annoying.
Just shut it down at the bottom and open the new terminal.
Right, let's open a new terminal. Try it that way. It's going to ng-serve. Yeah, this computer, it's kind of too old. I suggest him to update it. Alright, so yeah, it is running right now, 0% compiling. 10%. Right, it's almost there. Right, I have an error. It's saying error in the source app module TS. Cannot find module. Oh, sorry, that's my bad. I was testing something, so I added one of the service to there. Let's delete that. It shouldn't be there. It's okay. You don't have to do the same thing, right? Remember, you don't have to do the same thing. You won't have this error when you're trying to do so. This is what was me. I was trying to testing if something is working. It's recompiling it. Just give it a second. It shouldn't be that slow. Right, compiled successfully. So that means I should be able to see my website on the localhost 4200. Localhost 4200. Yeah, that's my website. And when I hit F12, I will just want to check if there's any error printed out. No, it's empty. It's pretty good. So log in, log out, register website, everything is working. All right, everything is working. So here is where we left yesterday. And right now we are going to, as I said, we're going to start talking about the model side, about the data part. So to do that, we are going to following the instruction here, right? So we will create a services folder in our apps folder, and then put our create 4 files for it, right? So the process will be, firstly, go to your source folder, open app folder here, and we are going to create new folders inside here. New folder, it's called services. So in the I don't think I can make it bigger, but you should be able to see that later in the video. Just make it a bit bigger. It's no screen for me to type, but so in the service folder, we are going to create few files. The first one is called I have the name here, user.service.client.ts, right? It's just a name convention, easier for you to use later. So we're gonna call that user.services. Service, actually, user service or services? Service. User service, the user service, the client.ts. Right, this is a client-side service, and later we're gonna have a server-side service, which is gonna connect it with this. We're gonna introduce that in the future. Right now, just navigate user.service.client TS. TS is for the file type. And we're gonna have other ones like we just have users right now, right? Just talk about the user, and we're gonna talk about website and pages shortly. So for the user service client, as I said, we're gonna have an array of data inside here. We're going to have a few functions related to this array, and I already provide you the template code here. And you just need to follow the same pattern to working on it. All right. So you just need to copy what I have here. This is delete. We don't have delete anymore. Don't worry about delete so far. So right, copy that. What it does is just have a few things. It created a user service service class, and inside here we don't really have user constructor. Just don't worry about that. Actually, let's just put the constructors here. There's nothing wrong with it. Let's just have a constructor here. Right. It has a users array that contains a few data. Let me increase this font. I will be able to increase that font into 25. Right. So yep. Yep. So we have a users array inside here, inside this class. Like it's an array of user information I prepared for the test. Like each is array of user. Each user is object. It contains the ID, the username, the password, first name, and last name, and email. Right? That's how a user represented as an object in our code. Let me comment these things out first, and so I can organize the code. Right. So yeah, that's our user information. So I have the first user has an ID equal to 123, has a username Alice, password Alice, first name Alice, last name Wonder, Alice, email alice@gmail.com, and I have one for the Bob, one for the Charlie, one for me. Right. Those are just represent as a current user we have in our application as an array of data, and then we will have few functions to working with that users. It's just all the functions you need to create. Just list is right here. Create a user, find a user by user ID, find a user by username, find a user by credentials, and update user. Right? We don't have deletes. Don't do deletes. So the create user. It's very simple. What we're gonna do is it will take some. It has a function has a user as the input, and your job is to insert that user, push that user into the user's array. Like for example, this create user is definitely for when the user trying to register account. This function is for when the user trying to register account. We're just going to create a user and adding that to our array, right? So the function is really easy. Firstly, we set up its ID. Right now, we just give it a random number. Temporarily give a random number, and don't forget to change it to string. It's going to be a string type. Right. So right now, just have a random number as an ID, and then we just push that user into the user's array, and then just return the user. That's it. That's it for the create user. Remember, like when the user trying to register, they click the button in the register page, and what that button does, it's just gonna call a function, and maybe the function name is called a register, and then that function going to call this another function called create user in here, and it will generate a new ID, pushes that user information into our array, and it returns the user information. And so on, we're going to have a find user by ID. This is also very, very easy. We are trying to looking for the user with a given user ID, right? So what we're checking is like, is there any user? Is there any user? Its ID is equal to the user ID we're looking for. And we're just gonna return return that user to the if that is true, return the user to the just return that user to the function which called us, right? So we're gonna talk about that later, but just we're just looking for the it's basically doing is we're trying to looking for the user who has such ID, right? And then return it out. Just a for loop here. It's very easy. And then we're going to have a find user by username. It's similar like the find user by ID, but this time we're trying to looking for the user whose ID, whose username is equal to the one we're trying to find. So let's try to implement this function. It's going to be the same as the top one. For loop, let you can use x, use I, it's the same thing, just a variable name. Let I equal to 0, and I smaller than this user's length. I++. And what I want to do here, check if there is a users, if the user's ith item, the username is equals to the username we're looking for, and then we just return users. Should be this the users, because it's a variable in your current class. So return this the users ith item. Right, that's it for this function. It's just exactly the same as the top one, but this time we're checking the username instead of user ID. And we have the find the user by credentials. Right, it's the same thing. We're checking both username and the password. So what we're gonna do is just copy the for loop we have here. And then instead of only check the username, we also want to add another condition, and this the user's the password is also equal to the password we're looking for. Then we return it out. Right, we have two conditions in this case. So this is all the functions here are communicated with the model data we have here. Like if it's create, just push it to the array. If it's find, just look up in the array. All right. Yeah. And then we are going to working on the update user. Update user is the same thing. We're looking for it has two parameters, a user ID and a new user here. What it does is it's going to firstly looking for if there is a user has such user ID. If it does, and then we just update that user into the new user we have it here. All right. So let's do it. What we're gonna do here, we're gonna say variable the old user, let's use that. Actually, let's use a constant. The constant old user, which is the old user with a user ID in the array. We're going to looking for that. How do we find the user with a user ID? Well, you can use a for loop to do so, right? We're just doing the same thing as find user by ID. We can just use this function. We're going to call this function this the find user by ID, and pass in the user ID into it, and it's going to find the old user for us. And then what we need to do is, find the location of this old user in the array, and replace the data inside it. It's kind of like a little bit tricky here. So we are firstly looking for the user existing in the array, and then we are going to check the index of that user. Because of this users, the index of. Index of is a function help you to check in the index of the element inside the array. We're looking for the index of the such user. And after I find that user's index, I'm just going to replace that. All right. Firstly, I'm going to say user ID, because the new user, the user we're trying to update is may not come with an ID. Actually, it may be coming with an ID. Let's think about it. Yeah, just let's treat it as a one coming with ID. So we're trying to update the two users. The index item is equal to the new user here. This the users. Sorry. Right. We're trying to firstly getting the old user by finding its ID, and then we get the index of it, and just replace it with a new one we have. All right. Kind of like a little bit stupid of this function. Maybe we can easier make it. Just I don't really need the user ID here. Let's replace this one. I just need a new user here. The reason is like I can get the user ID from the user.id. It's one of the remember user ID, the ID is one of the one of the field, one of the property of the user. Each user gonna have an ID, so we're just checking getting the user's ID and then use that ID to find the older user. Right, both users should have the same ID, and then we just looking for the older user in the array with the same ID, and try to find the index of it and replace it with a new user. All right, so that's it for the user service, the client TS file. You may notice like it looks a little bit different than the normal JavaScript, because we have the type check on the parameters here, right? Like here, I think create a user. The user can be anything. If I just have any here, the default setting is any. If you just not put anything, it just can. The parameter can be anything you give it here. And in here, I limited the user ID coming has to be a string. There has to be a string when you're trying to to find that to looking for the user, looking for the ID. If I trying to say find the user by ID and gives a array here, it's gonna give me an error. So it's trying to prevent me from some weird error here. Like see here, I can also limit the input has to be a string. This input has to be a string. This input also has to be a string. This is optional. If you don't put string here, just others just can pass anything here. It's just give you some guarantee you from some small issues. Like when you're working in a team, some others may trying to like use some weird way to call your function and to make some bug. But right now you can limit the input type of your parameter. All right. So that's it for the user service, and it's basically just it's a class, and which contains an array of users' information and a few functions to access the array or modify the array, either find, create, or update. All right. Now, since we created this service and we want to connect this service with our application, and they are not connected yet. We just create a file here, and we just add that to our application. So as I said, everything is meeting together in the app module TS. So that means we're going to import the service into the app module TS rather than import it here. So you can either manually do it by import user service. The class name is called user service. So going to import the user service class from /services folder and the user service client. Right? And we're going to import it here. And after I import it, I'm going to add in that as one of the data providers user service. I'm going to put it inside here. And by doing that, you are connecting your user service with the whole project, with the whole application. Right? So this afternoon, we're just going to do the same thing for user, website, page, and widgets. We just finished the one for the user, and right now we are going to do the one for the website. We're going to do the one for the website. And let's create a new file in the service folder. Create a new file. Actually, before I adding new stuff, I actually want to commit my changes to the GitHub, because I just added something new. Let's go back to our. I'll go to another terminal, and it's going to be git add, git commit, user service ready. Right, just commit the change. I don't have to push it right now. I'm going to push that later, but right now I just want to commit my changes. And let's add a new file. Let's call it a website.service.client.ts. Right, this is the empty file. This is going to be the service, the model file for the website. Like you can see how Angular is help you to organize your files. They're gonna have a special place for your model. So you're gonna have to follow that rule to create your files. Right, we're gonna copy a few things from the user service. Firstly, we're gonna import this injectable, And I already have comments here. Injectable is one of the Angular module. It help you to it just make it available for Angular to connect it with app module TS. All right, you don't have to worry about that too much, but you just have to include that into your code. You import it and call it in this way. This is how Angular is communicate with those different data services. And we're gonna export class. Instead of user service, we're gonna call it website service. All right, we're gonna call it website service. And it's going to be an empty class right now, and we can adding things to it right now. First thing we're gonna adding is a constructor. Although we're not using this right now, but just have a constructor. So it allows us to create instance of the service if we want to do so later. I have my website service class ready, and then we can add things to it. First thing, we're gonna have an array of websites. So here I already prepared here. This is our array of website. As I needed to have the same syntax like the one here. So it's going to be websites is equal to that. All right. So the website is equal to that. So each website is an object. It contains its own ID. It has a name, has a description, and has a developer ID. The developer ID is actually one of the user ID here. It's telling us who created this website. Right? It's just telling us who created this website. If the one, here we have the website, first website, Facebook, is created by the developer ID 456. So that means it is created by Shiyu here, because Shiyu has that ID 456 here. The next one, like this one, had developer ID 123. And that means that this Go website is created by the user Alice. Alice has ID 123. That means she created this Go website, right? Same thing for the rest of it. It just represents who created this website. Right? Just copy and paste. And then we are going to create those functions. Create a website, find the website by user, find the website by ID, and update the website. So let's start from create website. I'm trying to simplify the code here a little bit. So we are going to replace modify this username ID here. Just need to create a website. All right, create a website. Actually, yeah, that's just we don't need that. It's create a website. Doing a create website. So what this create website function does, it just the same way as a create user, it's just adding a new website to the array, right? Create user is trying to add a user to the array. Create website is also trying to add a website to the array. So what it does here is, firstly, we're going to generate a random ID for this website, right? Like each website is going to have different ID. That's the way we distinguish it. So website, the identification, website ID, underscore ID is equal to master random. Right now, I just use a random number for its ID, and then change it to a string. Website ID is equal to a string. And then we're going to see the websites, the push. I want to push the new website into the array. After I push it, I just return this website out. That's it for the create website. It just follow the exactly same logic as a create user. And next one is find the website by ID. Just create that. I'm going to go to the code here. Find the website by ID. Find the website by user. Sorry, it's find the website by user. So it's looking for the website, looking for the websites who has a ID, who has a developer equals to this ID. So instead of one website, it's actually looking for a list of websites here. Like For example, it's me looking for the website, all the websites created by Shiyu. So here I'm gonna pass the user ID as 456, and then it's going to return all the websites whose developer ID is equal to 456. And right now we're just gonna create that. So the way we do that, it's quite simple. Just some JavaScript logic here. So since we're gonna return the array, I'm going to create an empty array here, and then keep loop through the website's array and checking if this one, if the first one's developer ID is equal to the user ID, then adding that to the array. And then if the second one equal, adding it to the array. If the third one equal, add it to the array, and then one by one. And then I just directly return the array out. All right. So I'm going to have a variable, the constant result is equal to the array. Should I use let maybe? Use a let. Result is equal to an array. Empty array. So for let I equals to 0, I smaller than this websites length -1. Not -1, just this, and just I++. This is looping from first one until the last one. We did this many times, like to get it from first one until the last one, right? And in here we have if cases, checking if there's the websites item. If it's developer ID, or it should be dot, not comma, dot developer ID is equal to this given username. Right, it's equal to this given username. Then we're just gonna push that into the result array. So result.push. I'm gonna push this this current item, this website's item, into it. And else I don't have to do anything. And after the whole for loop is done, we just return the result of it. All right. So after the for loop is done, I just return the result. Result contains a list of arrays. It's gonna return the whole array out. That's for find the websites by user. And then we have find the website by ID. I'm gonna put it here. Which what it does is like it's just looking for the website who has ID equals to this website ID. So it's same thing. For let I equal to 0, I smaller than this websites. I'm doing again the length. I++, just the same syntax. And checking if there's the websites if its ID is equals to the website ID, and then just return this website's ID. We return this websites. All right. That is for find website by ID. And next one, update the website. After the website takes let's remove the website ID here. We don't need that. Just takes the website. And just try to simplify it. Hold on. Give me a second. Maybe I don't have it. Update's going to be. Oh yeah, I do have it in my past. It's fine. Now we have the update website. When I update it, it's still quite simple. Follow the same logic. We are going to get the old one and get its index and replace it. It's very easy. So it's going to be constant old web is equal to this find the website by ID, looking for the one with a website ID. Once we found it, here what we're going to do is find its index, is equal to this website's array dot index of. Index of going to tell us like which position it is. If that's at the first one, index of going to give us a 0. If the index is, if it's on the fifth one, index going to 4. It starts from 0, right? Index of this old website. And now I can just replace it. So it's just this websites index item is equal to the new website. Right, that's it. Last function is delete website. This time we'll be able to delete a website here. It's even easier. So again, we are going to looking for the website with such ID constant web is equal to, we just call it a website. Don't be lazy. The website is equal to this find website by this ID website ID, right? Looking for the website with the website ID. This time it takes the website ID, right? And then, why this one give me an arrow? Off, not find the index. Index off. Index off, right? So then we'll find that one. We're just looking for its index. So index is equal to this website. Website is the website. The index of this of the website. That is index. Right, for this index. And after we found its index, we are going to remove it. Just remove one item from the array. We're just going to the splice. Right, the splice allows us to remove stuff. So here, like you see, like how assignment 2 is related to assignment 3. You learn a lot of functions related to the array, and right now you're gonna use them to modify your array. So like I have this the websites, the splice, the index, and I just want to remove remove one here. So it's gonna remove the index 1 and then remove only 1 here. So it's gonna be index and 1. First one represent which place you want to remove, and the second one represents how many you want to remove. I just want to remove 1, so it's going to be index 1. And that's it for the website. And don't forget to adding that to your provider, right? Just going to add a website service. Just click here. It's going to also automatically import it for me. It's just import it. It's just save me some time to type it down, but it's just the same thing as you manually type it here, right? And I have 2 providers here, and then we're just going to do the one for the page and the ones for the widget. And I'm just gonna stop here and give you some time to working by yourself. See if you can finish the user, website, and page and widgets by yourself. Right? Give you some time to try to by yourself. And then here it's telling you how you should add those ones to your provider. And tomorrow we're gonna talking about how should we connect the model with our component. Right? Right now they are not connected yet. We're just adding those providers. We haven't connected them yet. Tomorrow we're gonna talk about how to connect them. Right? So we're gonna stop right here, and I will upload the video to the YouTube, and just need to follow the same instruction and try to create those data service by yourself. All right, and we're gonna stop right here.